Now wait. Yeah. Oh, hell no. Just pretty
For it all, okay, I don't stand that. Sorry, I can't. But it's gonna be okay. It's like
I see that this team is in vanish mode. Talking about too fine.
How did you even see that? You
Alright, so I did. I didn't go to his page. He was in Atlanta, and when he was hitting you,
You can never break me. Man, I'm trying to get some money.
you.
No, you.
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 I'm done with you. Exactly. But what?
Get the paper. I'm gonna take the high road like I should have done.
It was a bright Friday night, which made things appear more somber and contemplative. Kendra had spent the day looking forward to a peaceful evening at home after a demanding work week, a much-needed break from her hectic existence. Since they hadn't spent much time together recently because of young Joc's job, personal obligations, and the tension in their different social circles, she was ready to surprise him with a romantic supper. But she decided that tonight would be different, so she made his favorite dinner, lit lights on the table, and even made a playlist of tunes that reminded them of their early romance. Her heart skipped a beat when she arrived home, wanting to bond and watch him grin. But there was an odd quietness in the air, no noises of him welcoming her, no lighthearted comments, and no commotion in the kitchen as she had pictured. Then she heard a chuckling, and she paused in the doorway and listened carefully. It was quiet, almost lighthearted, but it was clear. Kendra's pulse quickened and her heart dropped as she heard that voice. Young. It wasn't just Joc's voice that chilled her, it was also Carrie Red's voice, which made her stomach turn. Although Kendra had always had doubts about Karlie, Joc's ex-girlfriend, she had put her faith in Joc and accepted his assertions that she was merely a relic from the past. But suddenly, without her noticing, the distinct sounds of familiarity emanating from her bedroom shattered that faith. As Kendra's feet began to go toward the noise, her thoughts were racing. Even though she knew deep down that she wasn't ready for what she was about to face, it felt like her body was following her instincts and driving her forward despite her best efforts to comprehend what was happening. Kendra's hand was shaking as she clutched the handle of the door, and her heart was pounding in her chest as she made her way carefully to the corridor that led to the bedroom. After a brief minute of observing the quiet, she pushed the door open. Her entire world came to a stop as she spotted a young athlete splayed out on the ground, half-dressed. That and Karlie Red spent some quiet time with him while sitting next to him and resting her hand on his chest. Karlie stared at Kendra with a faint smirk on the corner of her mouth, and Joc's eyes were wide with disbelief. Kendra's breath froze in her throat, making it impossible for her to move or talk, and she felt as though the room was closing in on her, crushing her with a weight she couldn't escape. The Joc's cheeks reddened as he fumbled for his shirt and scurried to sit up. Karlie, on the other hand, seemed unconcerned and simply sat there as if this were just another day of playing with the young Joc. Kendra's mind was racing as she attempted to make sense of what she was witnessing, but all she could perceive was the betrayal. Kendra, I didn't expect you home so soon. This isn't what it looks like, Joc said, leaping to his feet, his eyes wide, his palms raised in a weak attempt to explain. He spoke softly, almost pleadingly, with her eyes burning from unshed tears and her voice breaking beneath the weight of her disbelief that it couldn't be what it seemed to be. Joc, you're in my bed with her, your ex? Kendra gently shook her head. Joc's face tightened, and he started to go for her, but Kendrick stopped him. She couldn't bear to look at him or listen to his excuses, so she stopped him with her hand. Every fiber of her being told her to leave the room before she let him see her breakdown. Kendra, please, he urged, taking another step forward. Let me explain that it's not what you think. Carrie interrupted our conversation to bring up some old topics, which Kendra vehemently reiterated. Do you think I'm stupid? Joe, your ex-girlfriend, is in my bed as if she were a native, and she isn't talking about the past. Karen was silent for a moment, then finally said something. She spoke in a cool, collected tone, with an edge of coolness that made the situation worse. He's not totally yours, Kendra, my love, and today he's recalling that Karlie's comments crushed Kendra's heart. The bitterness in her voice made it obvious that Joc shifted uneasily next to her, but he remained silent and did not stand up for Kendra, instead standing there torn between the past and the present like a man without the guts to choose. Joc and I have a past together, and it's clear that we have unfinished business, but I'm not here to stir things up. Kendra looked at Joc and Karlie, tears welling up in her eyes. Joc's face crumpled with remorse, and he looked hurt. He opened his lips to speak, but nothing came out. You have been deceiving me all along, haven't you? You bring her into my home as if it were no big deal after playing me like you're over her when you're clearly not. Joc, I trusted you. With her heart aching from the weight of everything she thought she knew collapsing around her, Kendra turned away and muttered, I love you. She had to leave the room immediately, avoid looking at him, and turn away from the woman who had never abandoned him. The frigid sensation that landed deep in her chest as Kendra ran out of the room, her hands shaking, grabbing her purse and sprinting out of the house, was far worse than the cold air that hit her like a slap. She only knew that she had to leave them both, but she had no idea where she was going or what she was doing. The agony was nearly intolerable at the time, and the betrayal went deeper than she could have ever imagined. Even though Joker knew he had just lost her, he couldn't help but stare at Karlie as he stood in the doorway and watched her leave. Karlie's lips curled into a knowing smile as she gazed at him inside the house. She had reminded him tonight that Kendra was no longer with him and that Joc was forced to face the repercussions of his decisions by himself. She was more than simply a remnant of his past. She was a persistent presence that had never really left. The question remained, could he ever go on and let go of the past, or would he be torn between the lady he had loved and the one who was still with him? He knew deep down that he had just lost something true. Kendra strode into the night with a heavy heart, tugging at his heartstrings. As the cold wind pierced her flesh, she determined to find a way to heal and rebuild herself without him, even though she had no idea what lay ahead and knew she couldn't stay where she wasn't wanted.
Now wait.
Oh, hell no.
This thing.
Sure, no, okay, I don't stand that. I'm sorry, I can't help it. But it's gonna be okay.
I smell
It's like,
I see that his PM is in vanish mode. Talking about too fine.
How did you even see that? Did you go
Alright, so I did. I didn't go to his page. He was in Atlanta, and when he was hitting you.
You can never break me. I'm trying to get some money.
You.
No, you.
I'm done with you. Exactly. For what?
Get the papers. I'm gonna take the high road like I should have done a long time ago.